What up? What up? Welcome to tonight's edition of the Klown podcast. It's going to be quite different. We're in the midst of HBCU media days, as far as the SWAC, the MEAC, the CIAA, the SIAC, and like three other conferences that PWI conferences that other HBCUs land, such as the OVC with Tennessee State, the CAA with Hampton, and the Big South with my beloved North Carolina Anti-Aggies. So we're going to start tonight with SWAC media days, and we're going to keep the party going for the next 2 weeks. And hope you enjoy. Hope you stay informed. By the way, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you very much. For the sports lovers out there who like to get their gamble on, whether it be on the NBA games, NFL, Major League Soccer, even National Hockey League, Major League Baseball, even college sports, go to BetUs.com to make that bet. If you use the promo code TKT for the Klown Times, you get up to 125% of the sign-up bonus, which is up to $2,500. Another perk you can see, you can bet on the go, which means you can bet anytime, anywhere on your mobile device. You get fast payouts, so you can get your payouts immediately every single time. Do not have to wait. And you can do live betting when you can bet during the game, whether it's early or the best lines, you can do it all. So anyway, please sign up for BetUs.com. Use the promo code TKT for the Klown Times. You'll be able to do so, right? Check out BetUs.com, where the game begins. Welcome to tonight's Monday night edition of the Klown Podcast. I'm Scott Brooks. Hello. And please check me out on my website, www.theklowntimes.net. And speaking of which, you can get the merch at cafepress.com. Sorry, I missed it. We normally queue it up to each other. Get the merch. But anyway, get the merch at cafepress.com. Search for the Klown Time Sports. I have the address in the description below. And a couple of more things. You can find me on Facebook as well. To search for the Klown Times, where your smartphone, laptop, desktop, wherever you are be, you'll find me there as well. And one last thing, please consider to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We're picking up some subscribers. We're pushing 500 right now, so which is halfway towards my goal of over 1,000, so I can monetize this bitch. So anyway, just continue to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll be glad you did, and y'all be glad you did. And my guest will be glad you did. Speaking of which, he's back in the saddle. We're going to start off this series of HBCU sports-related media days. So, which includes the SWAC, MEAC, the CIAA, the SIAC, and other conferences for HBCU such as the OVC, the CAA, and the Big South. So that's going to be a series. We're going to start with the SWAC tonight with my man. Y'all know him from the yard. That's HBCU.com. We rest about all things HBCU sports, as well as Sleazy Widow every Tuesday night on Facebook Live. Check Kim and the coach and Sweet Lou out. I almost forgot about Sweet Lou. And one last thing, please continue to check out herosports.com, where we write about all things FCS athletics as they pertain to HBCUs. Those links will be in the description. Once this gets uploaded to YouTube, y'all know him, the man, the legend, the myth. Well, not really the myth because he's here. Dwayne Nash is back in the house. How you doing, brother? My fellow Aggie, how you doing, man?
Man, Scott, it is wonderful to be back here on the show, man. I missed you, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been all over the place. I mean, hell, all this conference expansion and shit, and Kevin Durant trade rumors, and NBA stuff going on, and Kyrie's going to quit. I don't know. It's a bunch of stuff that's going on. I mean, new helmets in the NFL, a lot of stuff's been going on. So, it's good to talk some HBCU sports with you. I know, again, we have some of the conferences had the media days. So we're going to get started with the SWAC tonight because SWAC, this is where's that? So I know you were around for media days. So first of all, give me the impression of what happened as far as the mood throughout the media days in the SWAC, because the SWAC has to be feeling good about themselves as far as the hype and everything else and other stuff that's been going on, but drama included. But give me your impressions of the tone and the vibe, if you will, of SWAC media days?
Well, outside of the commentary from my man All Scripts, if you don't know Scotty or Scotty from All Scripts, go check him out on YouTube. That dude is hilarious, especially as it pertains to what's going on between him and the SWAC as of right now. But to your point, that is exactly what the mood is for the SWAC. They're coming in with this recognition of them believing that they're a brand, and they feel as though they're coming through, especially the commissioner McClellan, who completely believes that they are the best conference in FCS football right now. You know, especially as it pertains to their attendance record, you know, their budgetary numbers have most definitely increased. It's top 2, I think, in the FCS, according to the commissioner, and they look for it to be the best in the FCS come next year. So the conference is making some moves, and they completely understand that. And it's interesting that you bring that up. Yeah, they truly believe that they're in the forefront of FCS football right now with the moves that they're making.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, they're feeling themselves.
Very much so.
I was asking this question to other people the other day, well, a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to ask you this. We all know that the SWAC is potentially sitting on top of a huge gold mine.
Yes,
whether they realize it or not is another story.
Yeah.
With all the media stuff that's going on, the media rights and everything, do you have the sense that the SWAC will take the mouse at the ESPN nipple and start to really get what they are truly worth? Because, you know, look, ESPN has been great, whether you call it a thorn or a bone or whatever. I think I'm one of those people out there who think the SWAC, given the brands, given the personalities, Sanders, it's worth more than what they're getting right now for ESPN. I think if Fox had a chance to get right at the apple, I think it would. I think if they were shrewder negotiators, they could get the bites out of both Fox's and ESPN's apple, right? But again, like I said, whether they realize whether they realize or not that they have a gold mine, a potential gold mine, that's another story in of itself. Do you see that conference getting anything as far as like a deal, a media deal? And I know we talked about this before in the past, like in other aspects, but do you foresee the people in charge realize what type of gold mine that the SWAC has potentially, given the brands, again, the brands and everything else, and branch itself out? Or do you think they're going to be stuck on their ESPN nipple for a while?
They understand. They most definitely understand. The question is, though, is whether or not they're going to be capable of properly negotiating what it is that their worth is. And that's where the question lies. Remember, we talked months ago about the deal that they had with HBCU Go and Byron Allen, and there was conversation that it was about 10 years, 150 million.
Wow.
Now somehow, some way, that deal is gone in the wind, and we have no idea what this deal is properly going to be. Based upon McClellan's comments last week, is that they signed a deal, but the ink hasn't necessarily dried on said deal yet. And we still don't know what the parameters of the deal completely is. And it was said that it was supposed to start this year. Dude, we are about 50 days away from the beginning of the season. I doubt very seriously that we're going to have a full-fledged. Matter of fact, I know we won't, because the schedule's already been released. Well, the televised schedule's already been released, and of course, the bulk of their games are going to be on the ESPN family of networks. Now, based upon sources that I've had conversations with, they still will be showing a few games on HBCU Go. I think that number of how many games is going to be determined, I guess, whenever they make that official announcement. But that those numbers have been leaking on how
Mhm.
many games is going to be. I think somehow Jackson State has leaked the number, Florida A&M has leaked the number. I don't know. Well, I can't necessarily speak on what that number is. I'm just going to wait until HBCU properly and HBCU Go and the SWAC properly make that announcement on how many games it's going to be. But to
Mhm.
that point, oh man, whatever it is that they do, I
Right.
just need them to properly understand what their value is and properly
Yes.
negotiate it. Even if it is with ESPN, if it's with HBCU Go, if it's with another entity in which they're doing their games individually or whomever. I
Right.
just need for them to properly assess what their worth is and get full value for it. Um, because as of right now, I don't think that that's being done.
Yeah.
and
I
and, and,
agree.
and everyone's saying that everyone's speaking ill of the ESPN. I just find it real interesting that I haven't heard any other conference that's currently working with ESPN complain about that deal, with the exception of the SWAC. And God, most of it is not fully on ESPN though, because when you start dealing with ESPN Plus and ESPN 3,
Right.
it's not the network cameramen and the network producers that are dealing with the broadcasting of the games. They
Mhm.
basically freelance that stuff out to local
Correct.
cameramen and producers to cover those games.
Yes.
I'm going to need for the SWAC to just do better with the cameramen in which and the technicians that they have in those regions.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
Yeah. Because we don't need a janky broadcast. Now, I'll say this. The games that are actually on ESPN, were actually ESPN, they had some great broadcasters. They had
Yeah.
Jay Wright,
Mm-hmm.
Jay Walker. I'm sorry.
Oh, Jay Walker. Yeah, Jay
I'm thinking
Walker
about
and
Villanova for
Tiffany
some reason.
Green, most definitely when
Yeah,
the
they
games
they
are
do
on
a great job.
ESPN. Yes.
They do a great job. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
to your point. I mean, the local ones, it's like it looks janky. It's like a janky
Yeah.
production. That looks better than that. They deserve better than that. I agree with that. Um,
I mean, it's really like that with a lot of the other conferences as well. When you're talking
mhm,
about the other FCS conferences, the Big South, OVC. I'm just going off the ones that I normally watch on a regular basis.
mhm.
It's the same thing. It really is the same thing. But for whatever reason, it's just that the other conferences are doing it better um, than others. And then you start talking about the CIAA, which has their own sports network
Mhm.
that does everything through that network, and they tend to do everything fine. It just happens to be that as a designer, graphically, it's not up to par to ESPN's, but that's because, of course, you're talking about a machine that's there. But in terms
Right.
of the broadcast itself, for whatever reason, a lot of people like that broadcast a lot better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just say get better people to broadcast to broadcast the games.
Yeah. Yeah. And now that we're on that kind of on that subject as far as conferences go,
Mhm.
we'll say how you predicted how each of the SWAC teams are going to finish later. But which is we're broaching the subject now, let's talk about the SWAC itself as a health, like as far as health, in terms of health. We've seen what's been going on with conference realignment the last couple of years.
Mhm.
Oklahoma, Texas leaving for the SEC in 2025. SC this past summer, SC and UCLA, two schools in Southern California, LA, going to the Big Ten in 2 years. Crazy. But also shows you how strong those greater media rights are, right? ACC, you're in good
Mhm.
hands for at least another 10, 15 years. But anyway, but the point is that seeing how everything is changing the collegiate landscape. I mean, you got the group of five shuffling around. You got the Big
Mhm.
12 making moves. The Pac-12 wondering what the hell they're going to do, right? If they're going to still be around. And, this all trickles down to from the group of five to the FCS level, to the Division II level, to the Division III level. It's a trickle-down effect that people really don't realize. So saying that we're sticking with the FCS where the SWAC is, this all talk about, and it's been talked about for the last few months, man. The viability, since Oklahoma and Texas decided to make them move last year. That's their intention last year. The SWAC possibly moved to the FBS, to the Group of 5 level. I'm not as educated as you and many others are in that area as far as the financial health. I think they have to me, from outside looking in, I think they have to, more investments have to be made in the athletic programs. I'm talking to you, Bethune-Cookman, to make sure that they're there, because you got Jackson State, they're in that direction right now. They got Deion Sanders, the unicorn, donating. And again, his salary, he's taking a huge pay cut, but he's happily coaching these kids up and recruiting. He's donating half his salary to the cause of updating their football facilities. So they're going for it. FAMU is making some improvements to Bragg Stadium, which looks fabulous when it's said and done. So good for them. Prairie View A&M made some upgrades. I think Alabama A&M has as well. And I know I'm leaving out some others, and I apologize. Grambling's doing a better job. Southern is reinvesting. So it's there. A lot of these schools are doing it. I think Alcorn is too. A lot of these schools are doing it. It's just that will the West be able to keep up? And I don't know about that. So what do you think, if you look at the crystal ball 5 years from now, do you think, well, first of all, forget all that. How could the SWAC be able to successfully move up to the FBS level, to the Group of 5 status? And if so, not only how in the hell are they going to get there, but would everybody be able to go along with it? Because again, I think that some programs are struggling to make upgrades to their, not only the football program, but to their athletics facilities as well. Again, I'm not to pick on them, but Bethune-Cookman, I'm looking at you. Mississippi Valley State, I'm looking at you.
I'm glad you said it, because I was about to say it myself. But of course, one of the major things that they're going to have to do is offer more scholarships in order for them to move up to the FBS level. Right. A couple of them have a big enough stadium size, but yeah, the biggest thing, of course, is the amount of scholarships. Now, the biggest thing to me is how viable is it to actually move up to that Group of 5? When we look at the expansion of the Big Ten, the SEC, and I truly believe of the other 3 conferences, the Pac-12, the ACC, and the Big 12, there might be one more, and I'm calling them super conferences now. Well, I'm dubbing the Big Ten and the SEC to be super conferences. I'm thinking that another super conference is going to emerge out of those 3 remaining conferences, and potentially with them plucking schools from these Group of 5 conferences to make them these super conferences. I'm thinking it's going to end up being 3 conferences of about 20 teams. We're almost there with I think the SEC is currently, the SEC is at 18, I think it is.
It could be 16, because they're 14 right now. There'll be 16 with Oklahoma and Texas.
So if they have 16, then both them and the SEC will have 16.
Yeah, them in the Big Ten, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it was rumored that Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson were being targeted by the SEC. If they do that, that's 20, which means that the Big 12, not the Big 12, but the Big 10 will probably end up being the Big 20, which in my eyes, I believe that it's going to be a third 20-team conference. If that happens, they don't necessarily have to compete out of conference. Well, they probably won't compete out of conference. Right. They'll end up just playing an 11-game schedule, a 10 or 11-game schedule, maybe even 12, all within the conference, and don't necessarily have to go out. And then, there's been conversation about what this whole new playoff deal is going to be. And then, of course, what's your boy's name? Shanky from the SEC?
Yeah, Greg Sankey. He's a dog. Dude is a dog. He's a dog. Much respect. Much respect to him.
Yeah, but this clown just basically came out last week and said, hey, we can probably end up doing a playoff system and continue to do one without champions. Just eight at large. Get your game up. If you're not good enough to make it in, so be it. And with that said, it's going to be probably a fight between, of course, the Big Ten and the SEC and whatever teams are left to make that fight in there. And it's going to be very difficult. They're not even looking to include this group of 5. So with them taking them off their schedule, potentially, the way it's looking with a 16-team conference, you're already looking at somewhere between 8 to 10 games within your conference, if not all 11 or 12. So the need of an OOC will probably become extinct. So that means that the group of 5 will suffer. They won't have an opportunity to make it into the college football playoffs. What would the value be other than more bowl games for you to move up to the FBS then at that point? In my eyes, everyone just, without them competing for a national championship, the group of 5 in the FCS, for me, will just be the same thing, other than just those teams will have bowl games and these teams will have a national championship to compete for.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm not going to stray away from the SWAC, but remember, boys and girls, the lesson to be learned from the ACC commissioner's mistake, the Pac-12's mistake, in making that phony-ass alliance with the Big Ten. If someone offers you a golden ticket, the way Greg Sankey did with the playoff expansion proposal,
take it. You
need to take the ticket. Don't get caught up in your feelings. Take the damn ticket. Now the ACC may or may not have access to the table, reward table. Same with the Big 12 won in playoff expansion. But the Pac-12 is probably damn near on its way out. So, and the Big Ten is sitting there chilling because they know they have access either way, because them and the SEC get all the money. But that's neither here nor there. I digress big time.
But Scott, we already know, and I know this is a SWAC show, but I gotta go ahead and dive back to old school clown times real quick. We already know that the big poker chip is Notre Dame. Stop playing.
Correct.
Wherever they go, that conference kind of becomes a favorite. So if the ACC can finally convince them, or if the Big Ten can somehow convince them to come in, if the Big Ten does that, they most definitely become the most prominent conference within college football at that moment. But if the ACC can do it, then they end up becoming that third conference that I've been referring to.
Yeah, and then just convince somehow, if you're the ACC, Notre Dame, and then Oregon, maybe Oregon, Stanford, Washington, hey, let's make this shit a Power 3, let's go. So, it remains to be seen, though, but it's crazy. So, to your point, all that affect the Power 5 itself trickles down to the group of 5. So basically the whole moral of the story is you gotta mind the shit up. And so I'm hoping that the SWAC comes to whoever the hell's in leadership or advising folk. Is take that golden ticket, man, and for example, we've talked about this many times before, and now we'll move on after this, after you have your say about this. We all go to the football games for what? To see the halftime show. Now, ESPN.
I go for the game, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. We go to see the halftime show over. But anyway, except for you at Jackson State or Alcorn. But anyway, ESPN normally cuts away to commercial at halftime. If somehow and I know the HBCUs have power to do this, have alumni, whatever, to do this. Have someone sponsor the show and not go to commercial.
Exactly. And
It's easy money.
I have a strange feeling that that's something, if that has most definitely been discussed. McLennan most definitely talked about it during the media day in terms of more inclusion with the bands and the cheerleaders in their productions. So get ready. We might end up just seeing just that, Scott.
Great.
But to the point of them moving up to the FBS level, my thing is this. Okay, if your point is moving up to play in a bowl game, okay, now you're scrounging around for these bowl games that are already lesser than the Celebration Bowl.
Right.
What's your point?
Right. That's a good point. Good point. And that's for our that subject alone could carry a future state of the HBCU sports discussion we're gonna have in the future. That could carry that's an easy half an hour. So
yeah, but see, even to that point, God, what is the future of the Celebration Bowl? We have to wait and see what the MEAC does. Because if the MEAC no longer exists and somehow implodes, then I can see where the SWAC most definitely makes a move up to FCS, because what is really your point to stay there then at that point? Other than to try to compete for another one of those bowl games.
Yeah. So we'll get you on here on this, brother.
Okay.
Give me your predictions. Start like top to bottom in both the East and West divisions in the SWAC. Who's going to come out on? Who's going to win both divisions? Who's going to win the SWAC championship this year?
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the predicted order of finish based upon the coaches and the ADs, not the ADs, but the SIDs over in the SWAC that was given out during the media day. And then I'm going to give my tweets to this. Okay. So starting with the East, of course, they have Jackson State, followed by Florida A&M in second, Alabama A&M in third, Bama State fourth, Bethune-Cookman fifth, Mississippi Valley State sixth. And in the West, Southern first, Alcorn second, Prairie View third, Grambling fourth, Arkansas Pine Bluff in fifth, and Texas Southern sixth. I don't necessarily see the East being that far off from what the prediction is going to be. Right. The thing is, though, with the SWAC, I'm going to say watch out most definitely for Grambling, who they currently have fourth, and Texas Southern, who they currently have sixth in that division. Texas Southern with Andrew Body, the quarterback, the sophomore QB that's coming in as a dual threat QB, is going to most definitely be a guy to watch. Unfortunately, he won't have a lot of TV time, as Texas Southern games aren't going to be on a ton of TV nationally. But the games that they will play, make sure you keep an eye on that kid, because he's going to be one to watch. But yeah, Grambling, like I said before, with Hugh Jackson and that new team, we already talked about the Art-Brow situation and with them losing out on him. But I'm going to be intrigued to see what what Hugh Jackson does with Grambling and how they compete within the West. But yes, Southern, I'm really intrigued with the pickup of the defensive end Dumas, oddly enough, from Prairie View, and then with Eric Dooley leaving Prairie View to go to Southern and taking the defensive end Dumas with them to team up with the former Buchanan Award winner Jordan Lewis on the other end to compete on that defense. And they also took Noah Bolton from Grambling as well to potentially be their new starting quarterback there too. But the games to most definitely watch this upcoming year, of course, is the first game for Jackson State, which is going to be against Florida A&M in the Orange Bowl Classic. Last year, that game came down to 1 point. I don't think it'll be a 7. In fact, I know it won't be a 7-6 affair like it was last year, but I'm going to be intrigued to see exactly how Florida A&M looks in this newly revamped Jackson State team that Coach Sanders is most definitely looking to be dominant this upcoming season. Also, that Alcorn Southern game is another one to watch. Another situation to watch for Southern is the entire month of October for them. They go there. They start off that month at Prairie View, Coach Dooley's old stomping grounds. Then they play at home against Alcorn. Then they got homecoming against Virginia University of Lynchburg, and then they travel to Jackson State. And then the same with Jackson State. They have back-to-back games with their homecoming against Campbell, which a lot of people are talking about. I'm referring to that game against Campbell as Jackson State's Streets is Watching game, because for those of you who are out there that are Jay-Z fans, that song starts out with, if I shoot you, I'm brainless, but if you kill me, you be famous. What's a brother to do? Because the streets is watching. And I believe that's exactly what Jackson State is currently in. If Campbell, who a lot of people think could come in and be physical against Jackson State and beat them, oh my God, they beat the mighty Jackson State Tigers. If Jackson beats Campbell has won only 3 games over their past few seasons. So all they ended up doing is beating a 3-win team coached by Mike Minter. So Jackson State is in a lose-lose situation in that game. So I just said go out there and win that game, which is something they're looking to do anyway. But then, of course, they end up following that game with a potential SWAC championship matchup against Southern. So those 2 weeks are going to be 2 weeks to watch with Jackson State. And then I'm intrigued to see who Jay Walker, the commentator over at ESPN, has dubbed the Fighting Dancies, and that is the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils.
Mm-hmm.
They gave team fits last year. Matter of fact, they only lost to the likes of Alcorn, Florida A&M, and Jackson State last year by an average of 8 points, a touchdown and an extra point, and a 2-point conversion. So they kept close games against what you could probably say were 3 of the better teams within that conference. If they can go ahead and run the ball like they did last year, play defense as scrappy as they did last year, and with their new quarterback, Jones, that's a transfer over there, they might be a team to come in and, well, they'll only surprise people who didn't pay attention to the Delta Devils last year. But yeah, I'm anticipating Jackson State and Southern in the SWAC championship game this upcoming season.
Nice. Who you have winning it all?
Man, and I know a lot of people aren't expecting Jackson State to have an easy road, as some people are anticipating them, but I'm still picking them to go undefeated within the conference, which means I have Jackson winning it all. But they're gonna have some tough outs. They most definitely are gonna have some tough outs. But you let Dion tell it. They most definitely have addressed all of their deficiencies from last year. They've gotten more stout on both offensive and defensive lines. He basically said during media day, their 5 starters from last year on the offensive line may not be the starters on week 1 this upcoming season, because of course they most definitely want to keep Shador Sanders upright.
Yes.
And the freshman phenom and Travis Henry, who he's most definitely excited about going 2 ways this upcoming season, playing both wide receiver and corner. He's going to be a player to watch. He's already put his bid in against Shador Sanders, who has been picked to be the conference's preseason offensive player of the year. Travis is like, no, not just yet. Don't put the Sanders name on that trophy just yet. It will be coming back to Jackson, but it might have my name on it.
Nice. That's why I love that competitive spirit. So that's be good to see. Be good to watch. Hey man, thank you for breaking down the SWAC. I'm gonna bring you back later this week. Folks, look out for him this week to break down the other HBCU media days. And as for now, please check out his great work, theyardhbcu.com. You see in the backdrop there. We're asking about all things HBCU sports. Sleaze Ritter every Tuesday on Facebook Live. Tomorrow night, check him out as well. And last thing, thehillsports.com. We're asking about all things HBCU athletics from the SGS perspective, obviously. So those links will be in the description as well. Please continue to check me out, www.theclowntimes.net. I will have a rant up there. I know it's been a while since I updated it. I've been busy. I'm sorry. I started a new job. I've climbed up the career ladder. I'm put on my eggs, trying not to keep my eggs in one basket. Sue me. I'll be back. I'll be writing back soon. I promise you that. But anyway, check me on Facebook as well. Just search for the Clown Time Sports. As I said earlier, you find me there. Merch, KevinPress.com. Search for the Clown Time Sports. And last but not least, please hit like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm almost at 500 subscribers, halfway to my goal of 1,000 by the year's end. Keep the party going. Until next time, we'll talk about more stuff. Good night. Stay cool because it's hot as hell out there. We out here.